Hey everybody, welcome back to another video of the Pinstripe Buzz. Yesterday's video covered the best left field options for the Yankees, whether it was free agency or trade. We jumped into some of the trade candidates a little bit, such as Bryan Reynolds, Jake McCarthy, Max Kepler. We jumped into the free agent market to see what was available and talked about that. Today I want to go a little bit more in depth on the trade aspect of this. Now, you have a website here that's baseballtradevalues.com. So you can kind of play around with the players. They give them value for a trade, and you can kind of see what would work based on their statistical numbers and things like that. So I worked with two of the players. I worked with Jake McCarthy and Bryan Reynolds. I didn't even bother with Max Kepler. His value is like a 6, 5.8 or something like that. So you could get him for a bucket of baseballs if you really wanted to, but he's not the type of player the Yankees need. So before I get into this, I was actually given the idea by another channel who did this kind of the same thing. And the trade that he came up with for Reynolds, because the video is basically just about Reynolds, he was up to like 6 guys for 1. So you're doing a 6 for 1. I think Dominguez was in that trade. I think he added another stud shortstop to that trade. He added all these guys, and it's a massive, massive overpay. You don't send 6 guys for Bryan Reynolds. Like that's ludicrous. Like you don't do that. So this is the trade I came up with. And even the website says that it's, an overpay. And honestly, I'm not even comfortable with it, to be honest with you. But the trade would be the Yankees would get Bryan Reynolds. He's valued at a 59.9, so we'll round it up to 60. The Pirates would get Jason Dominguez, valued at 26.5. Estevan Florial, 1.9 value. Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, 0.8 value, so he has no value. And Everson Pariah, he's labeled at 16.8, so he's another outfield stud prospect the Yankees have in their system. He's 21 years old, and he's going up the ranks pretty fast. So this is the deal. Now, I think Dominguez is an untouchable. I really do. I really do think that Dominguez is somebody that the Yankees shouldn't even think about trading. He's only 19 years old. He's a switch hitting outfielder, so he can hit from both sides of the plate. And he's already, he moved all the way up to, Double-A pretty quick. And who's not to say he's not here in a year or two? Some people are projecting a year. I think it's going to be a year and a half to 2. The Yankees are going to try to hold his service time clock a little bit. So, he only had 22 plate appearances in Double-A, so you really can't get a good feel for it. But in High A, he hit 306. His strikeout percentage is down. It's at 18%. And you're looking at a guy with Reynolds that's struck out 141 times last year. It's too much. You don't give up 6 players for that. The Yankees have too much of that already. So you can't do that. Now, when you look at the other trade that we're talking about here, this one I feel a little bit more comfortable with. And I really think there's more value in this trade than with Bryan Reynolds, and that's for Jake McCarthy. So McCarthy sits at a 30 value, 29.5, right? So he's half of what Reynolds is. And you give up a right-handed pitcher named Beater, you give up Pariah again, and you give up Sweeney. So you're trading one of your shortstops. You get to keep Peraza and Volpe and Dominguez. You're trading 3 guys for 1. And not for nothing, the website thinks it's a good trade because it says it would get accepted. So you go to a Bryan Reynolds trade that says it's an overpay to a trade accepted on the first shot. So I think McCarthy makes the most sense for the Yankees. I'm off the Bryan Reynolds train. I don't think Bryan Reynolds, it should even be a conversation anymore. I just think it's something the Yankee fans want to talk about because there's nothing to talk about right now. Other than when the hell is Aaron Judge going to sign officially? Can we announce that already? It's been almost 2 weeks. Or unless he's still in Hawaii, which takes balls, by the way. You sign a deal without a physical, you go to Hawaii. Guys living the dream. But back to the topic of what we're discussing here. You know, I really think McCarthy is the way to go. So you can look at this 2 ways. You hold off on Reynolds, which I'm 100% okay with. I'm not for, McCarthy, again, I'll keep saying it. McCarthy's the dude. You got to go after and get McCarthy. Go get McCarthy. He makes the most sense financially because you're going to have to pay Reynolds. Reynolds needs a contract. So you're going to have to pay him. And McCarthy is not arbitration eligible for a while. So when you start thinking about those things, and my mic keeps falling down on me, when you start looking at financials and you start looking at, luxury tax and things like that, and the cap, per se, McCarthy, you don't even have to worry about arbitration until 2025. So you can pay him peanuts, let him blossom in New York, and go from there. I really do think that you don't want to get caught reaching for Reynolds. And that's what you're going to do. The Pirates are going to hold the Yankees over a barrel. And that's not Cashman's style. Remember, Cashman didn't trade Miguel Andujar or Clint Frazier for Garrett Cole. Do you really think he's going to trade Dominguez and Peraza, or Dominguez and Sweeney, or Dominguez and another top prospect? He's not going to do that. So I really do think that it's not feasible. I can't wrap my head around the fact why this guy in Bryan Reynolds is getting so much love all of a sudden. To me, it's McCarthy. McCarthy is the guy the Yankees need to go get. Go get McCarthy. You have him under control. He doesn't have a year of service time, so you would have him for a good amount of time. You don't have to worry about. You would have him for 3 more years than you would with Reynolds. And if McCarthy doesn't pan out in the next couple of years, you have Dominguez coming right up. And who's not to say the Yankees go sign somebody in the offseason next year, and when the outfield class is a little bit better. I know the window's open. I know everybody wants to win. I know everybody's sick. 2009 feels like forever ago. But when you start looking at what's available, you don't want to all of a sudden try to overpay for a guy that you have 6 of already. Now, if you're looking at the 2024 class of outfielders, and let's say the Yankees hold off and they're going to wait, there's really nobody here. There's no stud outfielder that's available next year. Jock Peterson on a 1-year is Charlie Blackmon, 38 years old. Cody Bellinger, maybe he has a bounce back year in Chicago and maybe he has some value. Mark Canha, Hunter Renfroe, Michael Brantley, Joey Gallo. Just vomited in my mouth a little bit. Max Kepler, Eddie Rosario. These are the names in the free agent class next year. So why would you go trade for somebody in Bryan Reynolds where, again, I know I'm jumping all over the place here, but why would you trade for someone like Bryan Reynolds who is what a type of player you already have? It doesn't make sense. the next best outfielder class is 2025. That's when Soto will be available. You have Alex Verdugo will be available. If you want to pick him off from Boston, and as shot here, Boston doesn't like to pay its players, so who's to say Virgo even stays in Boston? Same thing with Devers next year. I saw that on a tweet for the Yankees saying that somebody said that, they should go steal Devers from the Red Sox next year. I don't mind the idea. It's not a bad idea, especially if Donaldson is hopefully gone after next year. But, just to wrap up here, I'm trying to cut down the videos here, 2 long ones. The trade that makes the most sense for the Yankees, in my opinion, is to go get McCarthy away from the Diamondbacks. You can keep all of your studs. You trade one of the shortstops that's going to be stopgapped anyway in Sweeney. And you have a controllable asset who, like I said yesterday, can play all 3 outfield positions. High contact guy that can steal bases, a guy that can be a spark plug for your lineup, whether you want to bat him 9th or if you want to lead him off. So there is potential with McCarthy. And I think McCarthy has a higher ceiling and a bigger upside than Reynolds does. There's enough numbers and stats on Reynolds to kind of tell you the kind of player he's going to be for you. McCarthy has more upside. So, again, I think everybody should jump off the Reynolds train and start shifting your eyes to these Arizona Diamondback outfielders, because I think there's a stud here that the Yankees might be able to get before he blossoms. And, that's just, I think that's the reality that we're sitting in. Or they don't make any moves and they just go in with Aaron Hicks and Oswaldo Cabrera as your platoon outfielders with Stanton getting spot starts. So, that might be the best other way they're going to do this. Or they make a midseason move when an outfielder from a team that's struggling goes. I mean, honestly, the last point I'll make here, there was, I've been talking to my friends and stuff like that, and the name that I've been throwing out is Christian Yelich. Maybe Yelich needs a change of scenery, play the outfield, and former MVP. His contracts he's signed for a while. His contract's already set. Maybe you can package some of your, I would trade a Peraza or a bigger prospect if you did like a Woodruff Yelich trade. That I would try to go for. But we don't know if they're available, if Milwaukee has Yelich available. And I think they already said they're not trading their pitching. So maybe that's not even a thought, but it's something that maybe we can consider here. But let me know what you think in the comment section below. The channel is starting to grow slowly. We've had a good number of subscribers jump. We've created a Twitter account, so jump on the Twitter. If you want to follow us on Twitter, it's at Pinstripe Buzz, and start spreading and joining the community. There's a lot of Yankee channels out there. We all have good takes. I follow them myself, and I would like to join in that conversation. To kind of jump in with these guys and see what they have to say. And the only way I could do that is with you guys subscribing and getting me to that level so I can get some clout behind my words instead of being the nutbag who just started a Yankee channel. So I hope everybody has a nice night. I'm signing off. I'll catch you all tomorrow on the next video.